Coming up, the World Health Organization is sounding the alarm. Omicron, that has 30 mutations, has already been reported in 23 countries. Stay tuned. Kazakh Senate reported out a bill on visual information and religious activities to the Majlis. What amendments were made by the senators? Watch next. Mutual trade of the SCO countries is considerably growing. Details in our news digest. Omicron, the new variant of coronavirus, has more than 30 mutations. According to the WHO experts, the new strain of COVID-19 can be much more infectious and dangerous than the previous Delta variant. The virus, first detected in South Africa in early November, has already been registered in 23 countries.
Некоторые из мутаций мы видели в других вариантах. Например, одни из них отвечают за повышенные...
We have seen some of the mutations in other variants. For example, some of them are responsible for increasing its potential for transmission, which means that people can get infected with this variant easier. However, the theory requires confirmation through conducting epidemiological studies that are currently being carried out around the world, including South Africa.
Путем проведения эпидемиологических исследований, которые сейчас проводятся по всему миру, в том числе в Южной Африке.
First of all, experts of the World Health Organization advise people aged over 60, as well as persons with concomitant diseases such as diabetes and cancer, to postpone long-distance travel. The WHO also urged countries to accelerate vaccination rates.
Нам необходимо дальше внедрять те рекомендации, которые мы с вами внедряем в контексте распространения других вариантов.
We need to further introduce the recommendations that we are imposing ourselves in terms of the spread of the other variants of the coronavirus infection, including Delta variant. First of all, the population needs to get vaccinated, especially those at high risk of having a severe course of COVID-19 need to vaccinate. These are the elderly people over the age of 60. It's worth noting that vaccines are effective against the severe course of the disease and are effective in stopping deaths.
Очень важно отметить то, что вакцины эффективны в отношении развития тяжелого заболевания и в отношении предотвращения смертей.
According to experts, now specialists from all over the world are studying Omicron variant, so there is no complete data on the severity of the disease to date. However, the WHO experts advise to adhere to all necessary preventive measures, wearing masks, washing hands, airing rooms, and maintaining distance. "753 people were infected with the coronavirus infection in Kazakhstan in the past 24 hours. The high single-day case count was registered in Nur-Sultan. 130 patients caught the infection in the capital. Karaganda region recorded 105 COVID-19 cases. Pavlodar region came third with 91 confirmed cases. According to the latest data of Kazakh Health Ministry, more than 25,000 people received treatment for coronavirus in hospitals of the country to date. 376 out of them are in critical condition. 64 are connected to artificial lung ventilation devices. Meanwhile, coronavirus vaccination campaign in Kazakhstan is well underway. Over 8 million people have been vaccinated with 2 components of vaccine in the country. The epidemic situation has worsened in many EU member states since October, despite high vaccination rates. In this regard, President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said that EU countries should introduce mandatory vaccination at the legislative level. Several EU states are now considering tightening sanitary measures, while others are planning to impose lockdown.
1/3 of the European population is not vaccinated. These are 150 million people. This is a lot. And not each and everyone can be vaccinated. So there are very small children, for example, or people with special medical conditions, but the vast majority could. And therefore, I think it is understandable and appropriate to lead this discussion now, how we can encourage and potentially think about mandatory vaccination. What science tells us already is that full vaccination and boosters provide the strongest protection against COVID that is available now.
Austria tightened its restrictions due to the coronavirus outbreak, after which parents, along with their children, began to actively queue up at vaccination centers. The country has recently begun vaccinating children aged 5 to 11 against COVID-19. This is due to a sharp increase in the number of coronavirus patients. Austria uses the Pfizer vaccine to inoculate children. They are given a third of the adult dose. My wife and I have already been vaccinated against COVID-19, and if we catch the infection, I hope it will be in a mild form. Every time we went out and took our daughter with us, the two of us felt safe but worried about her. So as soon as we had the chance, we decided to vaccinate our child. Russian authorities shortened the validity period of the COVID-19 PCR test certificate. Now it will be valid for only 48 hours instead of 72 hours, said Anna Popova, head of the Russian Federal Service for the Oversight of Consumer Protection and Welfare. According to her, the decision had been taken due to the global spread of new COVID-19 variant. Foreign travelers are currently being strictly checked at the border of the country, while Russian citizens who have returned from another country must take a coronavirus test at the airport and undergo a 2-week quarantine. Uzbekistan will suspend international flights from South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique starting tomorrow. The list of banned countries also includes Madagascar, Lesotho, Eswatini, Tanzania, and Hong Kong, Central Asia reports, citing the Uzbek Health Ministry. The relevant department indicated that they will monitor the epidemic situation in those countries and make proposals for the gradual resumption of air traffic only if it improves. Two earthquakes occurred in Tajikistan 5 minutes apart, Sputnik Tajikistan reports. The first tremors were recorded at 5:01 a.m. local time. The epicenter was at a depth of 5 kilometers. A few minutes later, Tajikistan was shaken for the second time. Now the magnitude was estimated at 4.8. The Tajik Committee for Emergency Situations and Civil Defense has not yet made any comments on this matter. There is also no information about the victims and the consequences of the natural phenomenon. It will become easier to obtain the status of Karelman, ethnic Kyrgyz returnee in Kyrgyzstan. The relevant bill is being discussed by the public, the website 24.kg reports. The document will help to support returning Kyrgyz living in the country and will close the gaps in the current legislation. That it will improve the conditions upon arrival and legalize documents of returning Kyrgyz people. Experts propose to cancel the provision of certificates in paper form and exclude the family composition certificate from the list of documents. Another innovation is the rule that allows Karelmans to get a status even in the absence of a passport. In the first 7 months of 2021 alone, Kazakhstan's trade with the SCO countries increased by 19% and amounted to $36.5 billion. The agro-industrial industry is one of the most advanced. There has been notable annual growth. The transit transport potential has also shown significant progress. Since the beginning of the year, cargo has been transported through Kazakhstan by 25% more than in the same period last year. Overall, despite the pandemic, trade among the organization's member states increased by 40% in the first 7 months of this year. The SCO countries do not intend to stop there. They are planning to further deepen their cooperation in various areas. It is planned to establish a SCO food security reserve and an investment fund in the food sector. We are ready to import food, competitive agricultural products from the countries of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This will help to strike a balance of mutual trade between our countries. We hope these measures will lay a solid foundation for practical cooperation. The Senate returned a bill on visual information and religious activities to the Majlis of the Kazakh parliament. The MPs introduced 4 amendments after 2 readings. While presenting the changes, Kazakh Minister of Education and Science Askat Aymagambetov noted that the main purpose of the new document on the language matter is to write textual data and visual information in accordance with the spelling rules. It is important that they match the original text and are written without mistakes while maintaining authenticity.
Ұсынылған түзетулердің басты мәселелеріне тоқталсам.
One of the main amendments to the draft is the special rules for the presentation of traditional historically established Kazakh names of administrative and territorial units, constituent parts of settlements, and other physical and geographical objects in the state language. It should be noted that the names of the settlements will not change. For example, Michurina will not change, it will remain Michurina. Moreover, Monastyrskaya Street is now written in Kazakh as Monastir Street, but with the adoption of the bill, it will remain in its original version.
Жазатын болсақ, ол енді сол монастырская ауыл деген сияқты жазылады.
Aymagambetov also noted that in the Kazakh-speaking villages of the country, as well as in sparsely populated areas, the sign bypass is written in several languages. According to the amendments, such road signs in small settlements must be written only in the state language. This rule also applies to ads, menus, and other visual sources of information.
Бұл өзгертулер кәсіпкерлерді қолданыстағы заң талап еткен соң
It can be said that these changes will free entrepreneurs from forced bilingual advertising if they are not required by the current legislation. We also believe that the amendments to the bill will help expand the scope of the state language and prevent errors related to visual information.
Оның алдын алуға өзінің септігін тигізеді деп ойлаймыз.
The demand for fish in Shardara district is growing. This year, 2,600 tons of fisheries were sold abroad. Today, there are 5 fish farming factories operating in the region. They make about 4,000 tons of products per year. The export volume has already reached 70% of the total production.
Biz 9 түрлі балық өңдеп шығарамыз.
We process 9 species of fish. We make various products from them, which are then exported to Germany, Russia, Israel, and the United States.
Тағы басқа елдерге содан кейін сұраныс көп.
The fry are brought from Karaganda to be grown in an artificial pond on the territory of the plant. Nearly 350 tons of fish are caught here every year. Interest in fish farming in the region is increasing year by year. One of the reasons is substantial support from the state in the form of subsidies to this industry.
Балықшыларға мемлекет тарапынан бизнестің жол картасы 20-25 бағдарламасымен
The state provides for a number of benefits for fish producers. For example, loans at low interest rates and assistance in building infrastructure. Those who decided to be engaged in fish farming can also count on similar support.
Оларға да қаржыландыруға несиелендіру, субсидиялау қарастырылып бөлініп жатыр.
A land plot will be allocated for fish farmers and producers. The amount of subsidies will also be increased next year. Fish farming factories are planning to bring the annual volume of finished products to 10,000 tons. Students from Pavlodar city took a course towards solving a number of social and global environmental problems. Several of their developments are already in great demand. Presently, jointly with scientists-chemists, they are testing the latest technology to neutralize mercury in soil. The first tests have already been carried out on the shore of Lake Balkaldak. Next year, we plan to hold experimental industrial trial. There is a huge problem related around the territory of Lake Balkaldak. Demercurization requires lots of funds. No one will allocate them. Students are also determined to help in their way to elderly people. They organized interactive courses where older people are trained to use smartphones, gadgets, and computers. People can acquire and master skills such programs as the electronic portal eGov and eGov Mobile, respectively, applications of banks, Microsoft Office, and social networks so that they can communicate with relatives. Students have high hopes for this robot mannequin, which attracts the attention of buyers and in some cases can even replace a real promoter. The development of students is suitable for clothing stores. Students are now trying to commercialize their startup, and if they will find investment, they promise to seriously modernize the prototype, expanding its functionality. As a rule, people pay less attention to classic mannequins, that people walk past them and don't even notice them. The solution is this innovation, an advertising electromannequin, a promoter who, due to its movement, can catch human views, thereby to get itself noticed.